This video has been making the rounds, and it's with Barbara Corcoran, Shark Tank, big successful real estate person, of course. We actually tried to hire her to speak at one of our live events once, and I could tell you something really kind of funny about that. The speaking engagement did not occur, not that I didn't want it to, but something funny. If you're going on the cruise, remind me to tell you the story about that because it's pretty funny. Let's take a look at this video. This is going to kind of amaze some of you, definitely amaze you, Crash Bros. Now, her analysis, Barbara Corcoran's analysis, is somewhat sophomoric here, but it is television. So, television is the idiot's medium. You can't go into depth on anything, but she does a pretty good job of explaining it. We take further in-depth analysis of all this stuff, but she is right, folks. She is absolutely right. So here is the clip.
So if you think prices are going to come down, definitely not the case. There is such a shortage of houses right now that prices have gone up despite everybody singing the blues 9%. So if you think prices are going to come down, definitely not the case. There is such a shortage of houses right now that prices have gone up despite everybody singing the blues 9% this year. 6% this year. How did that happen? It happened simply because of supply and demand. There's a lot of buyers and not enough houses to be available, and that's what rules the market.
Do you see prices continuing that move to the upside?
I think the prices are going to go through the roof, especially if interest rates come down another point by year end. I think everybody and their mother and their in-laws is going to come out looking for a new house, and the competition is going to be so fierce that house prices will have to go up.
So when should people be buying?
Right now. But that's always my mantra. Always the best time to buy. Not because I'm an ex-real estate broker by any means, but I'm sure I'm biased in my attitude toward it. But it always is true that the minute you go out in the marketplace, when everybody else is out, you always pay more. Why would you wait for that?
Barbara, a real driver here when we talk about the pricing of homes, why they have risen so dramatically has been because of inventory, that lack of inventory.
Definitely.
There has been lots of questions about what it's going to take in order to unlock more inventory, what the ultimate impact is going to be on the housing market. Do you see the inventory picture getting fundamentally better anytime soon?
It's gotten a little bit better, maybe to the tune of 4% more inventory a month in the last 3 months. But no, there's such a shortage of houses. I don't see how that's going to change. Now, the biggest problem, again, is interest rates. People who own homes have 3-4%, some of them even 2%. Mortgages, they don't want to give those up. That's why you have the bottleneck right now. That's why people aren't leaving their homes.
Is it still true that you can buy the house and then date the rate and you can refinance? Is that true in kind of a higher for longer environment?
You can, but it makes people feel good more than it makes a difference.
Okay.
Barbara, your advice to maybe people who are sitting on the sidelines, they haven't listed their home. They're a little bit nervous given the fact that we've seen that dramatic run up in rates. What do you think is going to be the key factor to prompt them? Is it mortgage rates below 6%? Or do you think even some improvement from where we've plateaued just below 7% is enough to move some of that inventory?
If it goes to 6%, people are going to get so much more for their houses. Why would they even think of selling? If it hovers somewhere in the 7%, the market is going to be so active and they're going to get more for their houses too. So it's a hard argument to convince a seller now's the time to sell. Life changes make it necessary for people to sell. But when it's optional, nobody's putting the house on the market.
I'm curious about your advice for first-time home buyers, obviously impacted by this settlement, but also a lot of people have just said, I'm going to give up. I'm just going to rent forever. Should people still have the goal of owning a home someday?
Well, first I'll say that rents are cheaper anywhere in the United States than buying. So logic would dictate,
prices are going
why
up,
not
folks.
rent? It's cheaper. But everybody, almost everybody, has this idea that the American dream is still owning your own home. But for the first-time buyer, they're the hardest hit. They have to compete the hardest, have the least amount of cash to compete, so they're not making cash offers, and they're losing 4 to 5 houses that they're interested in. I would not want to be a first-time buyer. I don't know what's really going to give there, but it's not going to be easy.
Any advice then for the first-time buyer?
I must sound depressing today, don't I? Yes, here's good advice. Do what I did for the last 4 houses. Now, people might say, well, I don't have her money. That's true. But I've done this my whole life. Run into a community, see which houses you like, and leave love notes on every door.
Okay, so she's talking about how to find that perfect house, right? But folks, this is the thing, and the big mistake so many people are making is, it's like the people in the stock market who do charting, right? Where they're looking at fundamental analysis type of concept and technical analysis really is what they're looking at. And they have this belief that is not true. It is a false belief. And that belief from the Crash Bro community is, just because housing was more affordable in the past means it will revert to the trend and become more affordable again. They would be right if a lot more inventory was created. So that is the issue. You either have to reduce the demand massively reduce the population or massively increase the supply. Those are the only ways housing will become a lot more affordable. Now, it will become more affordable as mortgage rates go down, but then the prices will just come up more and more. And they've been appreciating in the face of almost tripling the cost of money. So, the Crash Bros have just been wrong over and over again. Okay, I want to talk to you about the eclipse for just a moment because I thought this was interesting and it's so timely. The eclipse could create the most profitable 22 minutes in Texas history. Studies have pegged the potential economic impact of the eclipse at $1.4 billion statewide, roughly $200 million of which could be felt in Austin, Texas alone. Boy, if it is cloudy and it ruins the eclipse because of that, that is going to absolutely suck. But yeah, that would provide a welcome tailwind for tourism and hospitality industries who've been hammered in recent years by the pandemic and various unfavorable macroeconomic trends. Still, the potential impact is just a small blip relative to the annual $2.3 trillion output of the state's economy, which, by the way, think about that in terms of the overall GDP. That is huge. Texas is a huge economy, a figure that equates to roughly $6.5 billion a day. So I just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was pretty darn amazing, the impact of the eclipse. Now, I've talked a lot for the last 20 years about people only have three choices. Three choices. They can buy, they can rent, they can be homeless. And the funny heckler shouted out in the audience once when I was speaking at a live event, well, they can live with their parents. And this is interesting, this article I saw. It says, one of the big fears parents have who have adult children is they fear their kids won't leave. Failure to launch. Can you imagine having such loser kids that they won't leave the house, right? They just won't grow up. But look, they eventually will, okay? It says, blame it on the pandemic, but this was a big thing before the pandemic, okay? Blame it on the pandemic, inflation, student debt, or something else, but more young adults are moving back home. Nearly half of U.S. adults ages 18 to 29 lived with their parents in 2021, up from less than a third in 1980. According to data from Morgan Stanley, that puts a lot of pressure on household budgets. Now, this represents huge shadow demand for housing because eventually these kids will move out and form households. Now, some uninformed person, when I posted a video about shadow demand and how huge it was, and I'm talking like 8-10 million households shadow demand, it's ginormous. Some uninformed person said on this video that I had posted, they had said, well, Jason just fails to talk about shadow supply. So I asked him, I said, well, where is the supply coming from? New homes? New home building? And didn't answer the question yet. I am awaiting that reply. They are increasing new home building. That is true. But it is a drop in the bucket compared to the amount of demand. Yes, we need a lot more inventory. We need a lot more new homes built. We shall see if we'll get it, though. Okay, so we still have that one single room available. Many people have said they want it. I thought it would sell by now, but no one has put up the cash. So far as I know, I got to check with our people on that. So I might be wrong, but we do have a veranda room on the beautiful brand new Celebrity Apex ship leaving here in just a couple of weeks. Well, about 3 weeks out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and join us for that Empowered Investor Cruise. If you want to hang out with real estate investors doing great things and learn from all of our faculty and our experts on that cruise, go to empoweredinvestorlive.com.